Let's make this happen. Okay. What is up, everybody? It is Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Also know that I'm a certified empowerment coach and president and CEO of Express Your Vibe Coaching and Communications. And you know that Dr. Vibe always likes to have new friends come on the Dr. Vibe show. But this is a special new friend because about 2.5 weeks ago, I changed the look of my website and there was something missing. Well, many things missing on my website. One was be a guest on the Dr. Vibe show. And guess who did the first thing and said, I want to be a guest on the Dr. Vibe show? Well, this is our new friend tonight. He is an outstanding gentleman, Clarence Lee Jr. He is a nationally celebrated author, international speaker, and CEO of CMLEEJR Companies, LLC, a personal development brand that conducts seminars on high performance and mental conditioning for teams, organizations, and students. Now, this guy, like when I read this bio, I'm going, he looks so young. So why I say he looks so young, just listen to this. He holds a degree, biology, Bachelor of Science from UIW. What's UIW?
University of the Incarnate Word. It's in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay, good. So I got some clarification. Learned something new within the first 2 minutes. And degrees in medicine and business. So he's got his MD and his MBA from Drexel University. A decorated war veteran, Dr. Lee served in the United States Air Force for 10 years with several assignments, his last being a flight surgeon flying the T-38 and U-2 airframes at Beale Air Force Base in California. He's the author of the inspirational memoir, Well, My Mom Says, as well as soon to be released, PERSIST in 2017, this year. He's a columnist for several publications, and his work has been featured in Live Happy Magazine, Black Fitness Today, Essence Magazine, to name a few. He makes regular appearances on ABC, CBS, and Fox television stations. He was recently named Top 40 Under 40 by the Sacramento Business Journal in 2014 and in Drexel University in 2016. He was honored as one of the top healthcare entrepreneurs to know by Becker's Hospital Review and is one of the latest recipients of the Black Enterprise Modern Man Award in 2016. I want to get one of those. Dr. Lee is he's a devoted husband and father. He lives in California, loves spending time with his wife and 3 children. We are blessed and highly favored to have Dr. Lee. I'm going to call Dr. Lee. Can I call you Clarence?
Clarence, yeah.
Clarence, to have an epic conversation with us. Welcome, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Excited to be here. Excited for the opportunity to connect with your following online and bring some value.
Well, thank you. Well, I know you're not only going to bring value, you're going to bring positive value. I know that already. You're bringing positive value. Clarence is going to be chatting with us tonight about a few things, a little bit more about his background, his first book, and his upcoming book. So we're going to get a lot packed in, but don't worry. He's not going to be a one and done. He will be back. So I've already asked. Yes, absolutely. We already had offline conversations, and he will be back. So let's start at the beginning. Where did you grow up?
Oh, man. So I'm going to try to make this as quick as I can. I'm originally from Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
So I moved around a lot as a kid. I lived in about 10 different states. My dad was a Marine, and we moved a lot for jobs and various reasons. Moved a ton, so I'm all over the place. My first vision was to be a basketball player. I wanted to play in the NBA. About 2 years into college, realized that the NBA scouts weren't beating down my door, so I needed to have another option. My mom's a nurse, so she introduced me to medicine really early, and that's where I got my initial vision to become a physician.
How did the effect of moving around so much have on, what kind of impact did that have you on you at a young age?
It's funny because my wife lived in the same place her entire life, and so when we met each other, I go, "You never moved?" And she's like, "No, I never moved. I stayed in the same place." I'm like, "That's so weird," you know. And she thought it was weird that I moved around so much. But I would say it just helped me to learn how to make friends really quickly. So when you're always the new kid at the school, you don't really have the option of not being able to talk to people you don't know, or you're never going to have friends, you know. And so I'd probably say just my gregarious kind of personality is I got that from being the new kid all the time.
Right. You are very well educated, and I'm saying that as a compliment.
Thank you.
Where did the influence of education come from? Mom, dad, or both, or was it something or someone outside of that environment?
Uh, I'd say all three. Honestly, I watched my mom put herself through nursing school after her and my dad divorced, and so I got to see firsthand how much dedication it took to acquire a degree. So I saw that growing up, coming home, my mom with the books sprawled out over the dinner table with note cards. And so I always knew that education was something that was important because I saw my mom doing that at a young age. I've always been a competitor. So even from sports, I always competed. I always wanted to be one of the best. And I think that one of the biggest differences with me and some of my other folks I played sports with was that I wanted to compete in the classroom as well. So I was sitting next to the person next to me. I wanted to beat this person on the test, just like I wanted to beat him if we were playing basketball on the basketball court. And so my parents always had a really high standard for me. They never really accepted kind of less than. And I'll tell a quick story about my dad. Just my dad wasn't around a lot when I was little, but I'll tell you one quick story about him. When I was in medical school, I I called him after a test. I said, "Dad, I did pretty good on this test. I got a 95 on the test." And he goes, "So what you're saying is 5% of your patients are gonna die? That's what you're saying?"
Oh, gosh. That's cruel.
so so they always kind of set the bar for me high, and so I always wanted to do well and compete in whatever I did.
I can relate on both your mother and your father in regards to your father wanting excellence when it came to education. My father was a teacher in the same public school for 32 years. And I vividly remember graduating from junior high, and at that time I got award in proficiency in sports and academics from the
Uh-huh.
Minister of Education. Big moment for me, feeling great. Come off the podium with this award. The first thing my dad says to me is, "You're going to university." I said, "Look, I haven't even touched high school yet. You're going to university." So there you go. And I can also relate to my mother was a registered nurse for many years at a major hospital
Okay.
in Toronto. So I feel you. I understand. I get it. I get it big time. Was it a disappointment for you that you couldn't make it in sports? Like you turned away because it sounded like it was passionate.
Yeah. Yes and no. I didn't understand early enough how hard I had to work. I knew hard work was important, but not how hard. I didn't really understand that, honestly, until I got into medical school. The type of dedication, studying 12, 16 hours a day. I think if I had the focus that I had later in life as a medical student, I would have been able to capitalize on all the talents I had as an athlete. But honestly, I was so young and just talented and thought my talent was gonna make it for me. And I learned the lesson. Hey, everybody's got to work hard. It doesn't matter if you're talented or not.
So you made a turn into something I think just as challenging, if not more challenging, when it comes to medical school. Did you have any concerns making that turn?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I applied to medical school in the U.S. over 500 times. It took me 5 years
Wow.
to get in. I applied to every medical school um, for 5 years. And so that was difficult as well. But I just drew a line in the sand and I said, yeah, I'm gonna become a physician. It doesn't matter how long it's gonna take me. So if it's been 3 years and I haven't gotten in, everybody's rejected me. I'm gonna keep improving my application, keep improving my GPA. I'm gonna stay in at this. This will not beat me. And so eventually I got the opportunity to get in at Drexel, and the rest is kind of history. And I've kind of taken that that showed me just with pure persistence what I could do in life. And if I did not give up early, if I kept going, I could pretty much do anything that I wanted. And so, that's what for folks that have a vision for their lives, have somewhere they want to go. Sometimes it takes a really, really long time, but you learn so much in that. And I say I have so much power now because I've overcome those obstacles that I can look somebody straight in the eye and tell them, hey, you can do this too.
That's 500 times.
Yeah.
Wow. So, what was the feeling, and do you remember? I always ask this conversation piece when someone celebrates success. Do you remember when you finished, and what was that feeling like?
Yeah, I remember it very vividly. It's something that I go back to in my mind often. When I crossed the stage and, the announcer said, Dr. Clarence Marcus Lee Jr., it was like a light bulb went off in my head. And I said, wow, man, I literally just made myself into a doctor, literally just from working hard. What am I going to do with my life next? What's the next thing that I want to do? And that's when, I started getting into this personal development space and started empowering other people to get what they want to get in life. But, I said, man, what's the next thing I want to do? And the next thing I want to do is business.
Before we get into the world of business, I want to ask you something interesting. You are a junior, so obviously named after your father. What significance does that have to you, being named exactly the name of your father?
Massive,
Okay.
massive. Okay. My son, my first son shares our name as well. He's the third. And so my dad was not a very involved father early in life. And so I had a lot of conflicted feelings about who I was to him and what I meant to him. But my mom told me this one story about my name, and I never forgot it. It was the one thing that I held on to all the time when I was younger. And she said, well, when I was born Kevin Marcus Lee. That was my name. That was my name for 2 weeks. And she said that my dad came to her after 2 weeks and said, we're going to change his name. I want to give him my name. And even though he wasn't around when I was really, really young, I always had that story that he gave me his name, that I came from him. I was important to him, so much so that he went back and gave me his name. And so that's why I always, on everything that I do, you'll always see that Junior, because I'm so proud to share his name and his legacy and who he is and the type of person he is. I've learned so much from him now. We have an amazing relationship now. But it means so much to me that he gave me his name, and I was important enough for him to give me his name.
Fantastic. And we'll get back on the track now. So you wanted to get into business. Now, did getting into business happen before your time in the military? Did it come after?
Let me see. Probably after I was already in. Yeah, I was already in the military. I had this vision after I finished medical school, and I was, it was a night I was in I think I was on a medicine rotation. I don't know can't remember what rotation I was on, but I'm sleeping in the hospital. I've been up for like 36 hours. I'm on one of these long, spouts of no sleep, and you better not leave because this is what we do in medicine. and I hadn't seen anybody. I hadn't seen anybody but patients. I hadn't seen my family. I hadn't talked to my daughter. I hadn't talked to anybody. And I'm like, what am I doing all of this for? Why am I working so hard? If I'm working so hard and I don't get to see anybody ever, what is the point? I know I may be bringing the dollars into the bank account, but if my family doesn't know who I am, what's the point? And so I said, well, what am I meant to do? What if what I'm doing right now doesn't feel like it's making an impact? What can I do in my life to feel like it makes an impact? And so the first thing I thought about was mentoring people, mentoring young kids. And so I started a mentoring program and started speaking and kept getting asked to speak. Realized I was good at speaking. Then somebody asked me, did I have a book? I said, no, I haven't thought about writing a book. Then I wrote a book and just kept rolling from there. But, now I've been speaking now 5 years. I've written several books. I do live events, and all of it is based around encouraging people and pushing them to get the most out of their life, because that's the biggest pain that I see in the world.
Excellent. What did, and I'll start rolling, aligning some stuff here. What did your time in the military teach you about persist or persistence?
Lots. Oh my gosh. I had an amazing time in the Air Force. I was a flight surgeon. A lot of people don't know what that is. That's a physician that has a specialty in aerospace medicine. So my job was to take care of all of the pilots and the aviators in the Air Force and make sure that they were fit to do their job. And so in order for me to say they could do their job, I had to know how to do that. And so they taught me how to fly. I would fly weekly, so it was a great job. But I'll tell you what I learned from the military about persistence was our motto was, in our unit, we did reconnaissance. So our motto went something like, you know, uh, trust God and monitor everybody else. And so just this idea of being ever vigilant, always working toward excellence, never stopping and trying to make sure you accomplish the mission. That's what I learned the most from the military, was just excellence in everything that you do and keep going to make sure the mission gets complete.
Was it hard leaving?
Yeah, it was. It was really hard leaving. It's funny because when you're in, and it's like we have this language when you're in the military, but because you got the military and then you got the civilian. So everybody's like, you're the same person, but they're like, what's it like being a civilian? But it was tough, and I didn't anticipate that, honestly, because I didn't know it was going to be that much of an emotional decision for me. But I did the right thing for my family. I was very, very active. I deployed 5 times, and I missed a lot of my boys when they were really young. So I did the right thing for me, and I tell people, hey, it's somebody else's turn. I put my time in. It's somebody else's turn. But the toughest part was that I felt that I was bailing on my team. I felt that I was just jumping ship on the team and leaving my guys high and dry. And that was one of the hardest things I had to deal with. And just talking to guys that had made the transition helped me the most from getting out of the uniform.
Good stuff.
But I miss it. I
Uh,
miss it. I'll tell you that right now. I miss it.
oh, well, hey, I can understand. I can understand. 10 years is a long time.
Yeah,
It's
it
a
was a good
long
run. It was a good run.
Excellent. Well, let's get to some of the books. And first of all, the first book, Well, My Mom Says. What is that all about?
It's about my life. So that book is a memoir about my life. So I mentioned before, my dad was around, so my mom was everything to me. So whenever I had an issue or something happened, like a lot of black males in America, single mom taking care of everything. She's mom, dad, supporter, fan, everything. And so when I got ready to write this book, I wanted to tell my story, and there's no way of telling my story without talking about my mom, because she was my rock. And so every chapter is a conversation I had with her, some tough time that I went through, and a piece of guidance or a piece of advice that she gave me to help me get through it.
Was it difficult to write?
Some of the stories were very difficult to write. I share one story, and this is probably kind of the craziest time, but I wrote one story about a time when I almost lost my life. A guy pulled a gun on me. I kind of went back to my old neighborhood and was hanging out, and wrong place at the wrong time type of deal. And just recounting that in my mind and writing the details in the book, and just kind of thinking that this might be it, and how could I lose my life this way? Um, yeah, it was hard. Some of the stories were really hard to write, but I wanted to make sure that I told everything that I went through, because I honestly believe you don't go through things for yourself, you go through things for other people. And so if I can share that story and empower the people, I want to do it.
Great. Uh, has your mother read that book? And if she has, what was her reaction when she read it?
She's read it. She's bought several copies. She's
Oh,
given it
great.
out. I tell my mom, man, she's my biggest. She's one of my biggest supporters.
Wonderful.
But yeah, she loved it. I got a lot of really good feedback from her on the book, and obviously it's a book about her. So and she's kind of the matriarch, the hero in the book. So she told me I did a good job.
The editor gave the approval. The editor gave the approval, right?
I got the blessing. I got the blessing.
And just also again, what was the feeling like when you held the first copy of that book?
It was surreal. It was surreal. Just and this is why my message is one of persistence, and my one of going after what you want. I literally took an idea in my brain and I created something with it. Like now it is a physical something in the world. And every individual has that power on so many levels in their life. But when I got that book, it was just another testament to, hey, keep pushing. It took me 4 years to write that book, and any author will tell you it takes a while to
Four
get these books out,
years.
man, especially your first one.
Wow, 4 years.
4 years, man, from idea to in my hand, 4 years.
So as we move on to persist now, how was the pre-write different for persist compared to the first book? How were things different for you when it came to writing when you were hitting on to your second book?
I knew how to write, and that's it sounds like kind of weird, but of course you know how to write. But I knew how to do it, and so I blocked out time every single day, a couple hours every single day, and I dedicated. I met that keyboard and that screen at 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock or whatever every single day. I put my 2 hours in, and I made myself a plan of how I was going to march through it. And so this book, it'll be 2 years. So I cut my time in half. But yeah, I just say I knew how to do it. I knew the steps. It wasn't my first time, and so it went a lot smoother to get this one out, and did a lot more research in this one. I did a lot more research, referenced a lot more studies. So it's a you progress, and it's been good. I can't wait to write my next one.
And then it'll be 1 year.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
4, 2, 1. So it's half time each time. So it's going to be 1 year.
That's
So
right.
so I'm putting a mental note in my head in about a year's time. We'll expect to see the next one out.
That'll be another one. Yes, sir.
Why persist at this time? Why this book at this time in your journey?
One of the biggest pains that I see in the world is are individuals that aren't living their vision. So you come in contact with a lot of people. They tell you what they wanted to do or what their vision for their life was, and then they tell you why such and such didn't happen. And so many times that why is some sort of excuse about something external to themselves. So I'll give you a prime example. You asked me earlier, oh, what happened when you didn't go to the M.B.A? What happened? And so an external excuse would be like, oh, some guy was on the team, some guy took my spot. You know, the team wasn't the right fit for me, something like that. That would be an external excuse. Internal excuse was kind of what I kind of an example of what I used was it was me. You know, it was me not understanding, me not working hard enough. It was me that got me that result. And so Persist is a book about excuses. So I go through the top 10 excuses, what people tell themselves about why they aren't living their dream. And then I debunk that excuse with research, with examples and exercises of how you can get over that so that you can live your vision for your life.
Fabulous. And one of the friends of the Dr. Vibe Show, Sharice Taylor, has two questions for you already. So
Nice.
get your game face on, Doctor.
Bring it.
First question she'd like to ask is, how important is confidence in the effort to persist through difficulties?
Confidence is extremely important. I wrote almost a whole chapter about this, about the confidence piece. And I will say that confidence can be built in a person. So a lot of people look at confidence as something that somebody inherently has, that you're born with. You're just confident. That's not how I see it. Confidence is something that can be seen as a skill, something that you can build, something that you can improve upon. You can improve your confidence. And the easiest way to improve your confidence is to give yourself little wins. So what do I mean by that? Small momentum builders, small accomplishments help you to build your confidence. So if you're shooting after this big goal and the goal looks so far away, chunk that goal down into something small, and with small wins, you will build momentum to make the big wins. So that's how you build your confidence. Your confidence is based in things that you've accomplished in the past. You want to accomplish more in the past? Accomplish a bunch of small things.
Nice. Excellent. And her second question, as I just bring it up here, how do you cultivate your confidence?
Okay, so I talked about that a piece with small wins. So you want to give yourself small wins. So I'll tell you an easy example of how you can get a small win in the beginning of your day. And I outline this in the book. This is exactly how I would do it. I get myself small wins. For me, a small win will be waking up at a certain time. If I can wake up at the time I specifically tell myself I am going to wake up, I got one small win right there. Next thing, if I can get myself to the gym, because to me, I'm really big in physiology. If I can get myself to the gym, say I wake up at 4:30, get myself to the gym at 5, I've got two small wins before I even hit the office, right? And if I say the next thing I would say is, oh, what if my meal, what type of meal do I want to eat? If I want to eat a healthy breakfast, I make sure I get myself a healthy breakfast. I've got 3 small wins already before I even start my day. So when I get to the office, I already got 3 small wins. I'm already building momentum for the day. I'm feeling confident. I got a lot of stuff done. Now I'm bringing the energy to that task or that difficulty. I'm bringing a different perspective to it because I'm giving myself small wins. Small wins can be in anything. They could really be in anything, but those are just kind of examples of how I give myself small wins in the day
Well, you know, it's
to build confidence.
I can certainly relate to that because I do work out a bit at home, but I thought, you know what, let me get back to the gym. I love to do spin classes, and most people don't like doing spinning, especially guys.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
so I went 2 days ago, and you know there were no classes, but the person there said, "Hey, we have virtual classes. So basically, you can go into the spinning room all by yourself, use the iPad, pick a program, and the screen comes down, and you can do a class with instructors via video, or you can ride through different cities of the world and do a class." So for me, just making there was a small win. Just getting there is a small win, and breaking it down, I fully agree that. Sharice says, thank you, Mr. Lee. I appreciate that. Not only celebrating the journey on the way to the big goal, but the acknowledgement. That's great.
Yeah, you want to celebrate. You want to always be able to celebrate your small wins. You don't want to deprive yourself of that feeling of success until you get this big, big goal. Because sometimes it's going to take you 10 years to get that goal. Sometimes it's going to take you 5 years to get that goal. So celebrate along the way. Give yourself that feeling right now. Give yourself that successful feeling right now. And that will give you that urge to want to get small wins again the next day.
That is true. And Charisse goes, Dr. Vibe, you are serious. She puts serious in capital letters about workout if you're spinning. That is a huge win. Well, there was a time a number of years ago I used to do 5 spin classes a week.
Oh,
And so 3 during Monday to Friday, and then Saturday used to be a double. 8:30 to
okay.
9:30, 10-minute break, and then 9:30 to 10:30. I ain't doing that anymore because the class is too full. But I'm certainly going to come back to it. But Charisse, thank you as always. Keep on asking questions, making comments. Dr. Lee appreciates it. I appreciate it, and the audience appreciates it. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover some of the chapters at a high level of the book, because we want you to buy the book. That's what we want you to do. We want you to buy the book. So I'm going to pick various contents and just have Dr. Lee speak about them a bit, but not totally, because he wants you to buy the book too. Let's talk about the relationship between persistence and money. That's
Yeah.
that's a different one for a lot of people.
Yeah. So I would probably say a lot of people, and that was the chapter that I wrote for entrepreneurs, because many people have a business idea, they have something that they want to accomplish or that they want to bring about, and many of the times they will tell themselves, well, I don't have money, I don't have the money, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough money to scale it, I didn't get enough initial investors in the first round, nobody was interested in my idea. So money tends to be one of the things that a lot of people, how they talk themselves out of pursuing their vision. And so I say, instead of focusing on the money, because people aren't going to give you money for an idea, but they will give you money for value. So focus on bringing value to the marketplace instead of getting money to bring your idea about. So I'll give you an example. The easiest business that you can start from day one with no inventory, you don't need any money at all, that is a service company. That is a company where you are providing some sort of service, something that you could physically do. If you can figure out a way to solve somebody's problem, bring value to their life, they will pay you for that. And so my challenge to people, and in this chapter on money, I talk about this, my challenge is, if you're telling yourself you don't have money, that's the reason why your business isn't going, then my next thing is, what value are you bringing? My next question is going to be, what value are you bringing to the world right now? Because if you bring value right now, you'll get paid right now.
One of the things I always say to entrepreneurs is, and one of my mentors told me a long time ago, find the need and fill it, don't find the need and kill it.
There you go.
Right there. It just says it all, says it all. Let's take another area. We're just picking at random here. Persistence and timing.
Yes, so timing is another one of, I would ask people, a lot of the research in the book was me going out and just talking to people, normal folks. Tell me about what you want to do. Why didn't that happen to you? A lot of people will say, oh, well, that my timing wasn't right. What does timing not right mean? What does that mean? Some people say, well, somebody else beat me. Somebody else took my idea. Or I had that idea and somebody else did it before me. Or someone will say, oh, well, I was a dancer, and, ballet dancers are only between, 18 and 25. That's their career. So if I'm outside of that, then I missed my time. My timing wasn't right. And so my challenge to that is, if you're still breathing, you still have time. So in that chapter, I bring up a lot of stories and examples of individuals that didn't really care about timing, age, being too old. One of the stories I tell in the book is about KFC. Colonel Sanders is one of the popular stories. He built that chain to be what it is, Kentucky Fried Chicken. He built that chain to be what it is, and he was well above his 60s, right? So timing is not necessarily the end all be all on what you want to do. So as long as you're able to keep moving forward, bring your value to the marketplace, doesn't matter if you're the first or the second, Facebook wasn't the first Facebook type of website, right? They were not the first. So, that's why that's kind of my idea around timing is, a lot of people will use it as an excuse to say, oh, it's not the right time, but the time is now. If you're still breathing, you can do it.
Well, yeah, and a few things there, and I just piggyback on what you're saying. Look at Microsoft, and then look at Apple,
Yep.
right? Two companies, basically both in the tech industry, and Steve Jobs didn't go away and cry because Microsoft was doing what it was doing, to the point now where
Right.
Apple is worth more than Microsoft.
Yep. Yep.
Charisse is back again saying that's a tweetable, Mr. Lee. Solve a problem right now and get paid right now. She then in
Yeah.
capital letters, yes, 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 yes. Well, you know what, Charisse? We speaking that you're going to buy this book because you're giving enough support to it right now. So let me. I'm going to get off the road for just a second, and I don't know if you mentioned it in the book. How much does hereditary have to do with the makeup of persistence? Because you shared some of your background, and you were in an environment of persistence. How much do you feel that has a factor in one's persistence?
Most of the studies that I read were talking about grit. Grit's another buzzword that they're using nowadays. Grit, perseverance, and persistence. Stick with itness or stick to itiveness. But one of the one of the clear indicators of somebody that is being primed to have grit or being primed to have persistence is early struggle in their life. So individuals that have been through things and have overcome things early in life, those are the grittiest of types of individuals. And so from a hereditary perspective, your family that you're born in, the conditions that you're born into, whatever challenges you guys had or challenges that you didn't have, a lot of that comes from your upbringing. And so I tell people, if you have children and, if you have children, make sure that they're meeting and beating some challenges early in life. You can't make things easy all the time, and even in yourself. So if you've overcome things when you're young, that is part of the psyche that you use when you come against the next challenge. So if you got a thought in your head that says, oh, I'm not going to be able to beat this challenge, well, then you use evidence from your past, things that you beat previously. You use that as evidence that you're going to be able to beat this too. So yeah, I think your family and the environment that you grow up with, maybe a little bit of genetics, genetic code, but not much. It's really nature with this. It's really it's not necessarily your genetic, what you're made of, what your DNA is. It's more of the conditions that you have come up with or come through.
That's great. That's great. Let's talk about persistence and know-how.
So no, the chapter on know-how is, many people will say, well, I just don't know how to do it. And I get that. I completely understand it. It's not always straightforward how to get from A to Z. And so one of the main points in that chapter that I talk about is, one, have you Googled how to, number one. So Google, I'm not saying everything on Google is amazing, but it's a good place to start. You don't know how to code? How do I code? Blah, 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 right? And so that's one place to start. But then the biggest point in the how to is, and it's a quote, a lot of people have used this quote, but one of the ones is from Martin Luther King, where he talks about, you don't have to see the entire staircase to take the first step, right? And so one of the things that I practice in my life with know-how, because I've done a lot of things I didn't necessarily know how to do initially, I practice what I call the next steps only plan. That's it. All I need to know is what's the next thing that I can do? What's the next thing that will move me forward? That's all the plan that you need. So if I know one more thing that I can do to help me, well, let me focus on doing that one thing, and that will get me eventually to the how, to the know-how, right? By doing the little baby steps.
Would you agree with this statement saying, when you know your why, the how becomes easy?
Oh yeah. And that's going and that's the biggest, that's the I would probably say 50,000 foot view of all of this, because persistence to me is you have to have a valuable reason or a big enough why to persist. You have to know what you're persisting for. You're not just called your life. You're not just called to persist through every little challenge that's not the point. The point is to have a big enough why and understand what you're trying to bring to the world or your purpose that you're trying to bring. When you know that why, you'll figure out the how. And for me, my why has always been my family. My why has always been my family. And so when I get up and I go out into the world, I tell myself, there's nothing I'm going to come against that day that's bigger than my why. There's no challenge I'm going to face that day that's bigger than my why. I'm not going to come back home and look my kids in the eye and say, well, son, daddy just couldn't do it today because blah, blah, blah. No, that's not happening, because my why is that big. My why is that big. I've got fuel and drive to push through it. And we all have those. We all have a why.
Good stuff. Sharice Taylor is saying she's going to buy the book, and she says that you're so right. We're in an information age now, and there's really no excuse for, quote, I don't know, unquote. The question is, quote, are you willing to put forth the effort?
Absolutely, 100%.
The how-to is out there. I'm going to take another turn off again. One of the cores that I do a number of conversations is helping men and those who love them. Do you see any difference in persistence between men and women?
Oh, you're gonna get me in trouble on this one.
Well, just well, you don't have
You
to
know,
answer. You don't have to answer.
no, not necessarily, not at all. I think it's personality. I haven't necessarily seen that. My mother was an extremely gritty, persistent woman. I mean, I saw her come through so much from, dealing with an abusive relationship with my father to, marriage and divorce and starting over again and moving. So no, I don't think it's a sex thing. I think it's more of just having the core kind of belief systems in place. And that's what I teach and persist is getting the core belief system in place. Get your mindset right. Get your mind in the right place, and you'll be able to accomplish anything. And I think anybody can do that. I don't care where you're from, what your family looks like. It doesn't matter. It's all about how you think.
I want to roll back on some of the things we discussed earlier and see if you can give any personal examples if you're comfortable about this.
Yeah.
Was there a time in your journey you did not know did not know how to do something? You found a way, you persisted, and what was the end result?
Oh my gosh, lots of them. I'm trying to. Uh,
Doesn't have to be significant, it can be something small to something big.
I'll probably say being a good father.
Okay.
Uh, I didn't know how to do that. I did not have a great example, and so when I became a father myself, I knew there was some things that I didn't want to do, but I was really worried that I was going to be missing something that I was supposed to do that I didn't know I was supposed to do. And so getting with individuals that had great relationships with their children and asking questions. So I had friends that had great relationships with their dads and asking questions. Well, how'd your dad handle this situation, or what did he say when this happened, or and just kind of doing that interview, kind of researching, kind of getting a mentor, and I've reading books. Obviously I'm into books. I love books. Picking up books about fatherhood, picking up books about raising a young man and a young daughter. Because even with the father and daughter relationship, is different than the father-son relationship. And I'm learning in that still to this day. And I'm trying to improve every single day to be a better father to my children, a present father. But yeah, that's something that I would say I absolutely had no clue on how to do it.
And can you give us, I'll give you the same sort of circumstance in regards to timing.
Yeah, so I will say this, and I'll go back to my story about getting into medical school. Um, and I actually got two. I got two. Um, One, I had when I was trying to get into medical school, I found myself with a bachelor's degree, and I'm the most educated person in my family at this point. Nobody has a 4 year degree. No one in my family has a 4 year degree. I'm the most educated, and I'm sleeping at home on my mom's couch with no job. Right. So, and I'm trying to get into medical school. I've got this vision of what I'm trying to do, and it's not happening for me. So 3 years in, I really started questioning, hey, have I spent enough time on this? I need to move on with my life. My timing, yeah, hey, I'm 4 years out of undergrad. My timing, I should have been in medical school already. The timing's not right, right? And so I started really questioning if I was spending too much time chasing this dream. And so, how I kept going after that was I just said to myself, I know I can do it. I know I can do this. And so timing is one of the things with the too young. So, and the other story I'll tell is about when I got ready to write my first book. I was 26, 27, and people would ask me, you're 26, 27. What have you been through? What are you going to write a book about? What you got to tell somebody about? You ain't been through nothing. You know what I mean? And so I could have been listening in my mind saying, oh, I need more experience. The timing's not right. I need more experience. I need to do more stuff in my life. Let me wait to write this book later. But you know what? God gave me the vision to write that book. I knew my timing, right? But everyone else didn't necessarily know the timing. But that was another, challenging time when, hey, maybe this timing isn't right. Maybe I am too young to write a book.
Right. Sometimes you got to observe the masses and do the opposite, right?
Hey, there you go. I like that one.
Right. Let's get just interesting some things I want to share with you because things are winding down quickly as always because we're having such an epic
Yeah, this has
conversation.
been great.
No, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm having a great time. I know Sharice is and some of the other people live and on the replay will enjoy it also. Take a look back 10 years and in the environment where that was going on 10 years ago compared to now, what do you feel the persistence environment is now compared to 10 years ago?
Um, that's a really, really good question. I would probably say in 2017, I think persistence is something that is being downgraded a bit because we've got this kind of instant gratification, folks expecting things to happen really quickly. And that's just not how it works. I mean, you might have a one person here, one off here that shoots a YouTube video, and now all of a sudden they're an internet star and they're a millionaire and all this. But the far majority of folks, it's going to take time and persistence to get those things. So I would probably say 10 years ago, my generation understood, hey, or thought that they would stay on one job for 30 or 40 years. I mean, this was the kind of the mindset. We're talking about persistence to keep going after something. And now it's just, that persistence is just not seen. People aren't staying on jobs that long. People aren't, people are hopping, you know what I mean? So folks think things are supposed to happen quicker than, it takes for them to happen. So that's why I think persistence right now is so vital to help people see, hey, have a little bit of patience. Take your time. You'll get there.
And because you feel that it isn't what it was 10 years ago, what are some of the what's the word? What are some of the downsides or the unfortunate effects of the lack of persistence compared to 10 years ago?
I just think folks are they're giving up too early on themselves, and they're compromising. They're compromising too much, and I'm really passionate about this because I feel like individuals, if you're going to compromise on something, compromise on not having the mustard on the burger because they didn't have mustard that day. If you're going to compromise, compromise on that. You know, do not compromise for your life, not your life. You have one life. You have to keep going and get what you want out of this life and bring the value to the world that you want out of your life. Right? So plan B is not good enough. So I always tell people that's one of the pitfalls. Most people I meet, and I will say 75, 85% are living their plan B or their plan C, and they're trying to figure out, and the book is for the people that haven't quite given up completely. They still think they can get it. And that's who the book is for. I'm going to give them that edge.
Do you meet a lot of people that are not persistent and consistent with their dreams? Because I meet a lot of people who have given up on their dreams. And that's a question I ask of people of various ages. And it's sometimes, especially when I hear it from young people, that really strikes me. They have so much of their life ahead of them, and they've lost the persistence to pursue their dream. Could you address that?
I think many folks, number one, a lot of people aren't seeing folks in front of them live their dream. So what does that mean? That means their parents aren't living their dreams, or whoever raised them aren't living their dreams. People that are around them in their environment aren't living their dreams. So if you aren't in an environment where you're seeing people accomplishing that, you are going to give up quicker because that's what's going to be regular to you. Now, you can change that environment. You don't have to necessarily only hang out with folks that aren't living. You can change your surroundings. You can go and travel. You can travel somewhere. You can go and seek out people that aren't living their dreams. But so I think, one, the modeling isn't being done. And then the second piece, because I could stay on this for a really long time, but the second piece is, and I tell parents this and people that have kids, because if you aren't living your dream, if your kid's asking you what your dream was, and you're telling them about how you got some reason why it didn't happen, but then you turn around and tell them that they can live their dream, the credibility is going to be a little bit shaken there in the kid's eyes, because here it is, my mom's telling me that you can do whatever you want, but then she's got limits in her life. She's not able to do those things, right? So, and that's where it comes back to the why. So I really drive this home, especially individuals that got kids or you plan to have kids. You owe it to your kids to pursue your dream. You owe it to your kids to pursue your vision. And you owe it to the world because you have those gifts, you have those talents, and the world needs that stuff. But if you're trying to lead some kids, get out in front of them, live your dream, and show them that they can do it too.
And I'll just add to what Clarence said. Not only do you have to show it to your kids and show it to the world, but you got to show it to yourself too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It all starts with you, right? So that's fantastic. Well, you know what? We are going to cut it right there because I said there's going to be a part two.
Yeah.
I know this has been an epic conversation. Cerise has enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. The audience has enjoyed it. I want to shout out to a friend who I haven't heard from in a long time, but I'll get her up in a little bit, who did a retweet on it. So thanks very much to Elizabeth Hall for retweeting it out to all her 35,000 followers. That is much appreciated. Before we let you go, any final comments, and how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah. Okay. So two things. One, I've got a special offer for everybody on the Dr. Vibe podcast. Okay. So if you want to get the book, I'm doing a pre-order right now. You get the book. I've got a 10-week persistence online video course that I'm going to give you as a free bonus. I've got a Facebook group private Facebook Persist group I'm going to give you as a second bonus. And the last bonus is I'm going to enter you in a contest to win 2 free tickets to come see me live at my Impact, Purpose, and Destiny seminar.
Whoa.
That's a chance to win that, okay? So that's going to be a contest. I'm giving 2 of those away. So go to the website, Clarence Lee Jr., clarenceleejr.com/Dr. Vibe.
Whoa, thank you, sir.
And I'm going to be giving that package away for $37. So you get all that. You get the book, you get the online course, enter in to win 2 tickets to IPD for $37. And the book will be here in September, a little bit before September.
Okay, so I will make sure that all that information gets posted up on the replay of this conversation. Any final words you'd like to share about persistence for our audience?
I would say to everyone that's listening, that's out there, you have the ability to live the life that you want. The only question is if you're going to do what it takes to get that life. So the life is a true option. The only wild card in there is how much you're going to push to make that happen. If you want to connect with me, clarenceleejr.com, and I'm CM Lee Jr. On all the handles. So at CM Lee Jr. on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that.
Excellent. Well, I'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your positive, productive schedule from your family. And as the gentleman said, he has all that contact information. Betsy, just go to his website and it gives you everything you need to do or go to. Also, if you want to take a look at the posts in regards to Mr. Lee, the contact information is there also. I am Dr. Vibe. I'm host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show. I am the host of Epic Conversations, and this is the home of Epic Conversations, just like the one you saw now and heard now. I'm also a certified empowerment coach. I am president and CEO of Express Your Vibe Coaching and Communications. If you want to touch base with me, 3 best ways are Twitter at drvibeshow, email address dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com, and the website address, the updated website, www.thedrvibeshow.com. Also, if you want to get an empowerment coaching session, I'll give you a 30-minute complimentary one if you're interested. Touch base with me. But Clarence is the star tonight. I'm in the audience. He's the star for tonight. But if you want, certainly can touch base with me. If you want to watch any of the replays of my web video conversation, just go to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. Over almost about 300 epic conversations on there for you to check out. Also, if you want to hear any audio replays, website, Good Men Project, WJMS Radio, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Tuned In Radio, Stitcher Radio, and probably more to come. One other thing I'd like to say before we let you go is the views and opinions expressed on the Dr. Vibe Show are those of the panelists and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Dr. Vibe Show. Any content provided by our guests and our friends are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything. So, as I always like to say, you're blessed and highly favored. You're a magnet for miracles, and you're a solution for someone's problem. God bless, peace be well, keep the faith. Clarence will be back soon. And also remember, sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Thank you, too, also to Charisse for hanging in for the conversation and making it, making it an epic conversation. And catch me in 1 hour time, where I have another epic conversation coming out. LaRon Barton will be talking about racism and Donald Trump, which is a light subject. And that's for 9 p.m. Eastern this evening. He wrote an article, Stop Blaming Donald Trump for Racism. In brackets, it was already here. So if you want to hang around for that, come back in a little less than an hour's time, and we've got that epic conversation happening. God bless, peace be well, keep the faith, and good night.
Right.